3BC.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of 3BC. That's three black chicks, and I got my three black chicks with me. This is your hostess with the Mostest, Joy, and my three black chicks are one solo. Hey girl.
Hey y'all.
Why are you trying to, girl? I don't know why she's trying to sound demure and sweet.
Trying to sound cute and sweet.
Stop
Cause
it.
she ain't.
Before I hit him with that
She's with the E in just a minute. And then I got Chloe. What's up, mama?
Hey, it's the inappropriate auntie Chloe. Still
Hey,
loving being
inappropriate.
inappropriate with appropriate
Spicy.
information.
We love spicy aunties.
Don't we?
Hey, KC the Alchemist. Hey, girl.
Hey y'all, I'm just here to sprinkle a little magic on you.
This bra trying to sound demure too.
Sprinkle-
I don't know why
sprinkle-
these two
sprinkle.
undemure
I
ass
know,
bras
right? Y'all
We
like
not doing demure today.
like delicate flower.
and I'm gonna
Cool
say it
out.
like it's demure.
Demure.
No, we
Demure.
delicate
Y'all
flowers,
ain't demure
man.
at all.
That don't mean we're Venus flat trap you just because we're
know,
delicate.
But ain't that the
Y'all
beauty of
trying
being
to-
black? Code switching. We can switch it up,
You're right.
switch it up, switch it down, all the way around. That's
Right.
the beauty of being us.
This girl's trying to sound like delicate flowers, child. Don't let them fool y'all. Today we have a very interesting topic. There was some bullshittery and fuck shit, so as usual. You know, that's not unusual for these here internets. Circulating a couple weeks back that we didn't get a chance to talk about, and that was some shit called the white bait agenda. That is problematic on its face. We're gonna post a clip to our Instagram at 3BC Podcast so you guys can see it. We'll post a clip so you can see it and make your own decisions about this particular argument this guy was making, but it was just ridiculous, and it really has nothing to do with my obsession with Bradley Cooper and determination, to keep him on my baby daddy short list. But it was just ridiculous. I mean, it was flawed on the most basic. His argument was flawed on the most basic of levels. It was showing a movie from Netflix with a black mom, a black son who he said didn't look mixed, and a dad who apparently is a Jewish actor, and there was no need for them to have the white dad on there, and they don't never show black dads, and black dads are cut out of the equation, and blah 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 blah. So the problem with this is, one of them is that it unfairly, if you look at these posts, it targets primarily 90% black women.
Mm-hmm.
One. Two, it does not address so you find with the colorism. There is a show on Netflix. Me and my daughter watched a couple of episodes of the family reunion with Tia and Tamara. Which one was she? Tia.
I think that one is the Tia.
Tia Mowry,
Loretta
Hardrick,
Devine.
and Loretta Devine, and the black dad, and these three kids that look super light skinned, and I mean nobody's addressing the colorism. Where they get them kids from?
Tia Mowry is biracial. So
in real life,
but ain't one no biracial parents in the show.
Hold on.
We just
talk
pick
about
some light
black
skinned
people,
kids to
though.
plop them on in there.
But let's
And
talk
the dad
about
was
black
black.
people. You can have a mama and daddy that's black and caramel, and every one of your kids can be a different shade.
I'm not saying that.
Skill
Well,
generation.
so in
He's
particular,
missing
though,
the point.
Tia's mom is white. Her mom they had a mom come on for an episode, and she is biracial on the show as she is in
Okay,
real
I'm
life.
gonna admit to this. It was so bad that I stopped watching it after the third episode. It was just horrible.
Okay, but you know what? It
bad,
did get
though.
better. It did get better, and they had
Whatever.
a reunion show. They had a reunion show. It's
It was
Nickelodeon type of show to me.
It was
It's
horrible.
Nickelodeon
Okay,
rated.
so justifiable.
It gets a little better. I did like the reunion show where they actually brought back Jack K, which was cute because they made little sister references.
Mhm.
But that was kind of cute, and I kept trying. I had to keep trying to give it a chance, just like we had to do with Black as Fuck. It was one of them things where I had to keep trying.
Nah,
to
this
give
is
it a
way
chance.
worse.
And it gave it.
Black
I
as
gave
Fuck
it a
had
chance.
structural flaws. This just had
but it got a little better as you kept going. But I'm gonna tell you, it's way down the line when it gets a little better. And the
point is,
who has that much time, right? I mean, really, y'all know, I'm always on the other side of like, y'all watch what? Because I don't watch anything. Because I'm just like, my time is precious, and I don't waste it when I'm like, that's entertaining in 25 seconds. I'm like,
well, I mean, what entertains you
may
know,
not entertain.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, no, I'm get it. Like,
I like the show.
I did too.
Love it, but I like it. I've seen every single episode. The only my ongoing issue with the show is them saying "Madeir." Is not Madeir.
Madeir. It's Madeir.
Y'all,
which was my issue.
Well, my Madeir is a Madeir, y'all. It's Madeir. Her name is both my grandmothers were spelled Muddear.
Oh, well,
both of them, Madeir Downey and Madeir. I mean, but that's how we wrote it.
But that's y'all pronounce the aura.
Getting back to the point with the white agenda, there is a very black dad on that show, and there's a black dad on plenty of shows, on Netflix and on other TV shows. But what they always have in common is a light, bright, damn near white mama.
Exactly.
And I feel like your argument is fundamentally flawed if you don't talk about that part.
Right.
Or the children always being light, bright, and mixed, even with them having two black parents.
Right.
I mean, Stranger Things is probably the only show I know of that's got a chocolate child on it. The one black kid, and that's the little boy that played Ralph. I think he didn't play Ralph. He played one of them in the New Edition movie. And I love that little boy. I think he's so adorable and cute. But they did at least get a chocolate child, and his sister chocolate. But that's the only show I'm gonna tell you where I've seen some chocolate kids.
Yeah.
I can't think of any show with chocolate kids. Can y'all?
I mean, Diane is the only, not to reopen the
close to chocolate, but
Diane's the only chocolate kid in the whole family.
I mean, but if you think of shows on TV now, can you think of any shows that have kids on there that had chocolate kids?
Listen, it's interesting that you guys say that. So KC, you raise a point right about something being entertaining, and I keep telling y'all this, right? That one of the problems I have is representation and physiological, phenotypic representation matters to me. So when I turn on stuff, y'all, I'm not lying. When I turn on stuff and I don't see nothing that represents no part of my color, culture, experience, I just can't connect. And so I struggle. So that's probably one of the reasons, no matter how entertaining stuff is, when I turn it on and I don't see a caramel colored brown woman in a starring role, I'm done. People are like, you watch Game of Thrones? I said, how many black people in that? Nope. Every show.
That's kind of how I could.
Ozarks got me because they got the black FBI director, little black FBI woman.
And I love some Ozarks. And they have FBI black dude. So,
I'm in. So,
but if I don't see myself living in the Ozarks neither, so you ain't finna find too many of us in the Ozarks.
That's
but
very true.
So I could deal with that portion of it. But they represent kind of everybody. But I love, like you're saying, the black people on there are the powerful FBI agents. I mean, they are powerful people.
The therapist, or the therapist, or the doctor, or the judge.
Yeah, right. And that's a whole other thing that I think at some point we should explore is that how if the black woman is on the show, that's what she's doing. She's a therapist. They've graduated her from being the sassy best friend, to now she's the sassy therapist.
Right. And then what's her name is always a lawyer judge. What's the lady? Anne Marie
Johnson.
She's been a lawyer so many times. Even in her guest starring role on Living Single, she was a lawyer.
Right.
When she was Max was representing her.
She's a lawyer.
She was a lawyer then.
But
but she's actually a comedic actress, which is funny. Yes. I mean, because we got to remember, I Gotta Get You, Sucker was the best when she was like, don't make me have to hop to you. And she had that one twig of hair. But
she did.
You're right. And then here's the interesting thing though. Watchmen. Have y'all seen Watchmen with Regina King?
Oh yeah.
Okay, now she has a black husband, but they do a flip on society where the white kids are the ones that need to get adopted, and they've adopted some white kids, which I find funny.
Oh, wow.
But you should definitely, because it's worth watching, but it's also worth looking at the Twitter comments of people being mad of how they've made her a hero and how they've made the black guy the hero from the comic book. But I freaking love it. But that's few and far between. And getting back to the argument, how many times do we see a darker woman playing the wife? And it's like, I was looking at something from Nia Long, and she was saying how hard it was for her to get a job because they considered her ethnic for her darn eyebrows. And they would say her eyebrows were too thick and it made her look ethnic. And she said at one point it was either Jada Pinkett was going to get the job or she was going to get the job. But if she didn't get the job, she was often told it was because her eyebrows were too thick. Is that some ridiculous bullshit? I mean, your eyebrows.
But that's Hollywood
thick.
For you too.
And she's not even really. We wouldn't consider her chocolate.
You know, that's
Hollywood.
But she said that's how they treated her with colorism.
But they have these imaginary beauty, like these imaginary standards and these imaginary baselines and these imaginary parameters. And it's all very subjective. It changes from minute to minute, and none of it really is logical.
I don't know. Hey, I'm going to get my word in right here.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, girl.
If you watch the Netflix show Hollywood, Ryan Murphy has actually done that. He has given a version for the blacks and the gays where he sent a black actress. I mean, and she's not darker skinned or anything like that, but I feel like if they had been able to, they would have had to have chosen a black woman who was white adjacent, you know, and he gave us the black scriptwriter and the gay stars. So I have to say I liked his version of what Hollywood would have been like through his eyes. But we know in reality still what they were doing in 1947 in reality is what they're doing in 2020 in reality.
Right. And the only difference is he could probably show up on a red carpet with his boyfriend. That's pretty much the only change. And they talk about how Hattie McDaniel in a part in there, and I don't know how 100% true this is or not, but how they wouldn't allow her to come into the theater until it was time to accept her award. Like she couldn't even sit in the audience.
What I believe that was, and I read that was true, and then they had her still sit in the back.
And she told the girl, "Don't let them allow you to you force your way in." Like she was saying how that was a regret that she should have made them forced. But I mean, we know in reality, her ass would have been in jail.
I saw a clip of Hattie McDaniel having to walk a hella long way actually to the stage. I feel like I saw a clip of that to get her award.
She did.
But the other flaw in that too is this guy, he doesn't attack men. We don't talk about like even still by far and by large numbers, men outpace us running to other people, other ethnicities. By far and large, nobody talks about Kanye, who's the main one. Now he sounds like a Valley girl. Nobody talks about all these athletes. Nobody talks about any of that. And
the ones proclaiming beige babies and actually saying
celebrating beige babies. Yes.
Which is crazy.
No, so you're not talking about any of that stuff. If you're going to critique it, I can respect your critique way more if you're going to be fair and balanced with that critique.
Right.
And so to me, that critique is not even a respectable argument. And I feel like I love seeing Black women wanted by other people. I feel like it normalizes our beauty and it lets people know that, hey, you are wanted. If these Black men don't want you, then other people want you. It undercuts the argument, the standard argument in the media that we are, too mannish, too masculine, too whatever, not pretty enough, not pretty as this other person. We don't have 4A hair. We don't pass a paper bag test or whatever. So it normalizes it. It doesn't fetishize to me. It normalizes us and our beauty and lets people know that, yeah, you're wanted by other people. Like, now you don't have to just wait on a black man to want you, or just, and it's very selfish of black men of black men, which was always my argument. I got in a lot of like fights on Facebook. Nothing set me off like that Serena thing.
I was getting ready to say
there's
Serena thing.
One solo said there's no ownership of anyone. They act like they own Serena. You don't own a motherfucking person, not one motherfucking black woman on this earth. That is nothing but new age fucking slavery. You don't fucking own us. Social and emotional slavery. You don't fucking own us. And just because Serena is dating this guy, she dated a bunch of black dudes that weren't trying to have babies and sit down somewhere. She did. So what about those black dudes? So all of a sudden y'all pile up on her. And there is whatever. Go ahead. Somebody's about to say something.
And
I'll start up later.
In that vein, no one came for comment and said how you keep letting these good black women get away from you.
Right.
Erica, Angela, Serena.
And then was that Laura, and then nobody, and Lord knows I love Common too. He is at the top of my baby daddy short list. Hey boo. But when he was dating Laura Linney, she got to be the blandest white woman I've ever seen in my life.
And nobody came with the drag.
Black man. That's our second black man. Not one, but two.
Although I do like her on Ozark, but keep going.
I like her as an actress. But visually, she is bland as hell.
She's very bland.
Yes.
But she might have a lot of personality.
They don't know who they are.
Is the Ritz crackers of white women. No, not Ritz crackers, the choke crackers. What's the choke?
Let's be real. On both sides, men and women, you may fall in love with somebody from another race, and it's nothing wrong with that. And then if you want to normalize, really, Netflix was saying, hey, we're going to put on screen what we see, because this is what we see on the streets. You see interracial couples. You see people of all different races together. So maybe that is what they were putting on there. But if you think there's an agenda, that's your family. Talk to your family.
That's fine. The only way it becomes problematic is when you got 10 women standing on the curb or whatever, or outside the club. All gorgeous, all equally gorgeous, all, equally whatever, smart, successful, whatever. It's just visual. Men are visual. Let's just say all equally gorgeous, right? 10 women. 2 of them are white. Like 8 of them are black. So you walk by 8 black women without seeing them and then stop cold at the white woman and be like, oh my God. That's when it becomes problematic. When you just when we become invisible. Right. When you don't see black women.
And then when the black woman that you do see has to look like Doja Cat. That's also a problem. And if she's chocolate, then she has to look like Megan Thee Stallion.
Mm-hmm.
Even Kirstie Alley brought that out on one show. And I'm not sure if it was The Bachelor or some show that was on TV, and she was wondering why the black guy didn't pick the black woman, and she was saying, but she's prettier than all these other women. I don't get it. She was like, she's a stunning woman. Like, what the hell is wrong with him? And then he picked some everyday plain paper white lady. And she was confused. I'm like, girl, we deal with that every day.
Every day.
But for her to see it, and she brought it out, she said, this is very confusing to me that you would skip the most beautiful woman on here. And granted, beauty is subjective. But still, she was the prettiest woman, because I went and read what she saw. And I'm like, oh, yeah, she actually is pretty. Not that she was saying it because she was a black lady. No, she was beautiful. He didn't even give her a chance.
Of course not.
But part of it too is a lot of black boys and young men aren't being raised in black communities or around black culture anymore. And that's part of parents' fault.
But Chloe, I don't know that I agree with that. I think you might mean upper middle class.
Well, upper middle class, I would say that. Well,
black
no,
folk,
I won't even say that.
Because the majority of us is blackity black in blackity black communities, and we still
you know what?
opt out.
I would tell you this. If you live in West Tennessee, that's what you see, because we don't intermingle. When you go to Middle Tennessee, that's not necessarily the case. They grow up together.
I lived in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And guess what? All the black people live by each other.
All the what?
All the black people live by each other.
Well, here, the poor people live together. It don't matter if
and then in Cobb, if you think about Cobb County, you think about Silver Spring, you think about upper middle class black suburbs.
But upper middle class,
they round black people. So I ain't letting folks off talking about they just letting black boys ain't around black people. Lies you tell.
No, I'm saying they're not immersing them in what our culture is.
They got a black mama every day. That's culture. What else you mean?
Mama still not instilling a lot of that.
And black aunties.
But here's an example. I'll use myself as an example, and my daughter and her friends, right? So my daughter has been going to private school since she was 2, like pre-K. And mostly white, these schools, but I felt like it was my responsibility. There were some black kids at this recent current school. There's like just a drip drop. I mean, it's just the diversity situation is poor. But when as a parent, I took it upon myself. We live in a blackity black neighborhood, right? We go to
a blackity black city.
In a blackity black city, we go to a blackity black church, and she goes to blackity black ballet. So I felt like it was very important. And she has, she's friends with my blackity black friends' kids. But I felt like it was important for me, if she was going to be in that environment 8 hours a day for school, 7-8 hours a day, it was important for her to have that balance. But not all parents feel like that. She has another friend. We went to a sleepover of hers, and she was the only black friend she had. And then the mom and dad, to me, feel very awkward around black people. They don't really have any black friends. And she's not friendly to me. I thought she was just unfriendly, the mom in general. But nah, she was real cool with them white parents. Mm-hmm. So it was really a different type of thing going on. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, that was the last time we saw them, and I'm not even pressed about it. Like, we have a play date. She would go sit in her car and work, and I'll sit in the park with the kids or whatever. Like, she's very just standoffish in general, but she was cool as hell with those white moms. So I did feel a way about that. And she has another friend that's black. She's light-skinned. Her grandmother is Mexican. But she running around here talking about she Mexican. Girl, your parents are black, both of them black. Y'all light skin and you light skin. Y'all just kept it light skin. So, not everybody has that same kind of value.
Right. And I hang around a lot of kids in my neighborhood, and because I don't have kids, but I talk to them about stuff like that and look at who they date and why they date and what they think. And a lot of them, they're still the minority. They may be around a lot of black people, but the majority of the other people are still white. And that's what they identify with. They identify with that culture. And these aren't all middle class kids. A whole bunch of them are lower class kids. And
but it's up to us, the parents.
It's up to us in our community and their village to make conscious decisions to expose them and have those conversations. Like, nobody was talking to them about Africa is a continent. And then he was telling me about the Arabs don't claim blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, do you know where they come from? Do you know why they call it the Middle East? Do you know that it's still on the continent of Africa? They don't know that stuff.
They don't know.
And I'm like, and he said something. I'm like, dude, we were kings and queens long before we were in slavery over here or in any island. And they don't know that. And I'm going to send y'all a clip for another show where y'all can see that. And Tasha, I get what you're saying, that there are middle class kids that may have more exposure, but I think you are a conscious person. And even without knowing, you're going to have that exposure because that's just who you are. But there are a lot of people that aren't. that way. Even if they are around Black people, they don't have a Black identity or know who we are as Black people. They just think we were slaves and that's it. And they still want that light-skinned girl and think she's the prettiest. They don't want to be called dark, which has been shocking to me that they're still offended by that. And, and I have shown him pictures. I'm like, dude, it was the chocolate dudes I liked from the time I was in the 8th grade. I ain't gonna name no names, but
I'm not mad about chocolate.
I didn't love chocolate forever. But, and I think it's beautiful. And I try to the darker you are, the more I try to let you know how beautiful you are. Because you need to know.
Agreed.
But we all we grew up in the Wesley Snipes and Michael Jordan era. Because if we honest, without Wesley Snipes and Michael Jordan and a few more other people, we still was on light bright dudes. And light bright girls. Like there was a wave of Black pride that ushered in attractiveness among Black people. And we just have not had, we did Naomi Campbell and they all tried it.
Yeah, my time was before them, they
just keep lightening up these sisters. So ain't nobody checking. We ain't had nobody. Even Paul Lapita, I was like, here it come. Black is about to be in. That shit was over before it started.
I have to say, the first dude that ever had a public crush on me was at Bellevue. And he was a tall, dark-skinned dude, still real thuggish. Like I like about Bellevue. And so that's where my attention first went, because that was the first dude that ever was like, no, I think you cute. I don't think you nerdy and, goofy and shit. So I think that's what kind of drew me in.
Tell me who it was later. I'm so curious.
Okay. Yeah, we all want to know. Send us a text later, please.
Tell me later.
Maybe that's what it was. The first dude that, I would take that back. It would have to be. No, I might even go to elementary school. One was lighter. Y'all know who he was, I think. But then I'm going to say 6th grade until my mama found a note I had written him in my purse. I like this little boy and he was dark. Oh, girl. Oh, my mama. We didn't grow up in privacy, our generation.
So what I was getting to, is just go wherever your energy flows. Just don't throw hate on us on your way out.
Right. I agree 100%. And then, so just to put a fine point on that, if anybody has any notes about what actually the white bait agenda is, feel free to hit us up at 3BC Podcast on Instagram, 3 Black Chicks on Facebook. If y'all got some notes, we'll take the notes. Give us a bulleted list on what said agenda is, and we'll take that in stride, and we'll come back and talk to it about it and possibly talk to you if you can come up with one. I feel like I'm not going to see any legit bullet points, but whatever. Thank you, and we're open to it. Thank you, ladies, for another wonderful segment. You've been listening to 3BC, 3 Black Chicks on the Kudzukian Network. We'll see you next time.
3BC, recorded at Kudzukian Studios, directed, produced, and distributed by Kudzukian.
Join the conversation at facebook.com/3BC.